Officially begins today on that new roundabout at the intersection of River Road and Independence Boulevard. A groundbreaking ceremony kicking things off. The nearly $2.5 million project now meant to improve traffic flow and safety in the area as well. The new roundabout should be complete in about 6 months. Now, a quick reminder, this is part of a project that will close a section of River Road between Coleman Drive and Independence Boulevard. You will still be able to turn right from River Road onto Independence Boulevard towards Carolina Beach Road and be able to turn left from Independence onto River Road towards River Lights.